So, Mushroom Girl uploaded a video last night responding to all of the backlash she's been getting over the pro shipper shit. Pro shipper shit. Try saying that 10 times fast. I had made the decision not to respond or talk about it because I didn't want to milk the situation or talk about him more than I felt I needed to. But since watching the video, I haven't stopped thinking about the whole situation. So I do want to have just a little chat about it all and discuss some of the things that she said in a video that particularly bothered me. First off, people in the comments of mine and others' videos on MG have been saying, "She's a kid, leave it be." The main reason why I made the video in the first place was because, in all honesty, this whole thing kind of scares me a little bit. I've worked with kids, right? I've seen firsthand how vulnerable they are and how easily the internet shapes them. And while Mushroom Girl is older than the children I've worked with, I feel the same standards apply. Mushroom Girl has a track record of not taking criticism, not even from people who come to her directly and talk amicably. She plugs her ears, brushes people off, and insults them. Mushroom Girl will not listen, but I think you and I both know how dangerous of a mindset this is for a child, even at MG's age. The majority of the pro shipper community makes up of either degenerates, like pedophiles, or children. That is not a good mix. So yes, I find it incredibly worrisome that Mushroom Girl has developed these opinions from God knows where, and is spreading them across for other minors to find and potentially follow suit. And since she doesn't take criticism directly, I honestly thought that maybe if she saw the videos people were making and she heard us out, she might start to see where we're all coming from. I really had hope that she'd start to understand, but given her video last night, she hasn't budged. She's still plugging her ears, and it's unfortunate. So honestly, I don't think there's much anyone can do now. I think the only people that can help her are the adults around her, but myself and many others have a suspicion that it's those same adults that helped her come to this conclusion that she's at in the first place. So the first thing I want to point out is her claiming there have been false accusations, which yes, there have been.
Hello, 'tis I. I wasn't planning on making another video on this subject, but I felt it would be appropriate to regarding all the false accusations and crazy shenanigans that have gone on because of my video on bro shipping.
I've seen people, not only in my comments, but in others' comment sections, too, claiming that MG is a pedophile. And one or two people have even started calling her a groomer. All I can say is that it's entirely bollocks. Guys, she may have a shit take, but that doesn't mean that she's a fucking pedophile. Stop this nonsense.
Like said by Caesar A. Cruz, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
Now, if you've seen my last video, you would have heard me say the same quote. Art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And as I said in that video, I am a full believer in that. However, Mushroom, drawing pieces of pedophilic relationships or whatever kind of abuse in a cutesy light manner will not comfort victims. As a victim myself, I fucking hate calling myself a victim, but whatever. I would not ever feel comfortable having people draw rape in a manner that makes it look positive in any way, shape, or form. Personally, I would just feel like the artist is sharing the notion that what I and many others have gone through is not that bad, and that we're just overreacting.
Take it easy, it's just a drawing.
Surely you can see the disconnect here. If I'm going to come across rape art, I want it to capture how the victim feels. I want it to show people how truly awful it is. I don't want it to make people think that what I went through is okay or desirable.
As an artist, especially one that draws art that covers uncomfortable topics like self-harm, gore, and cannibalism, I find the freedom of artistic expression important.
I also draw cannibalism and self-harm. The character you've seen in my videos, probably in the background right now, is a cannibal. I gave her self-harm scars because I am covered in them and I wanted to represent that. That's fine, you're allowed to do that. But making it look like it's sweet and innocent thing is so bizarre. Even if you do make it look, I guess, nicer than it truly is, I do feel there is a massive difference between drawing self-harm and cannibalism to child rape and abuse. But we will be getting into that in a little bit.
There's a difference from creating CP and creating a book about some child with an adult.
I think that the censorship of fictional works is harmful to artists and writers and is an insanely slippery slope to go down.
As I said, I think writing a book about it is different than completely drawing children like that. Like if it tells a story, like if the book says a story about some girl who got SA'd, then I think that's fine. And if the book obviously like states that it's wrong,
MG starts talking about graceful, and while I'm not going to get into the entirety of this segment, I do want to say a couple of things. First of all, I think that what graceful is saying here is that writing a story about a pedophilic relationship is nowhere near as harmful as drawing child porn. One is a narrative that shows the dark side of the relationship, and the other, well, it's child porn. Like,
His third video on me, he tried to rope my little brother into a call with him.
Mushroom, why is your little brother getting involved? Please, for the love of God, discourage him from this shit. Fucking hell, I'm an adult and I still get told off whenever I start spurging online trying to defend people, and for good reason. It's not going to do me or the other person any good. please, if you can, make sure he doesn't get involved in this bullshit. As far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't even be talking about this kind of stuff online yourself, but it's a bit late for that now, isn't it?
And what did Graceful do after this stuff was all over? DMing me like he actually gives a shit about my mental health, and then insinuating that I've been groomed as if it's impossible for someone to just naturally have an opinion that's different from his.
Look, the reason why Graceful decided to ask you about your mental health is because all of our comments are flooded with people genuinely worried about the possibility of you being groomed. You hang around adults and you have this idea in your head that drawing an adult in a sexual situation with a child is okay. It's naturally going to be a cause for concern for us. I hope that it isn't the case, but I think that MG knows where Graceful is coming from here. She just doesn't want to give it any credence.
People have also been spreading lovely misinformation, so let's dispel some of that real quick. First of all, I'm not a lolicon, nor do I ship incest or pedophilic ships. A pro-shipper is someone who believes all fictional ships are valid, and it represents the wider concept of the freedom of artistic expression. By me saying, I don't care if people ship incest or pedophilia as long as it's fictional, that isn't me saying I engage in that behavior myself. What you guys are thinking of is calm shipping and dark shipping, which is when you actually engage in shipping things of that nature. This whole MG is a pro-shipper thing has slowly internet telephoned into MG is a pedophile, which, do I even need to say it? I'm not a fucking pedophile, you have no evidence to prove that.
As I said, anyone who believes that MG is a pedophile is a dumbass.
You people clearly don't see grooming as an adult getting close to and manipulating a child to exploit them. You see grooming as some sort of buzzword you can weaponize when someone disagrees with you.
Again, it's not a stretch to worry that someone is being groomed into believing this shit. You have a platform. How do we know that there aren't people behind the scenes manipulating you into believing the same shit they do, hoping you'll make a video about it? We don't know that, and I think it's a fair concern to have. Again, I hope to God it isn't the case, but it's not the stretch you think it is.
Someone also brought up Ephraim's name, which of course they did. I don't like this guy, so I'm gonna accuse him of being a groomer for no reason. Yeah, great, fantastic fucking idea. Keep Ephraim's name out of this fucking discussion, he's not a groomer. Someone also said that Ephraim wasn't doing enough and that he should be stopping me from, I assume, being a pro-shipper? He's not my fucking dad, dude, what? Just because he's a little bit older than me means he gets to control what I talk about like a fucking helicopter parent? No, he's my friend, not my fucking guardian.
Hey, that's me! Yes, Mushroom, people have brought up Ephraim because he's a grown man who you claim is a friend of yours. Not to mention, he orbits fucking Lio Convoy. Not only does he orbit Lio, actually, he practically jerks him off from behind. Lio Convoy, the same guy that gets really pissed off when you allow minors to behave inappropriately. The same guy that got onto Grimskull's case because Grim couldn't control or convince a minor into not having an NSFW chat in his Discord. The same guy who uses guilt by association and makes someone else's problem your problem and demands you take accountability for other people's fuck-ups. Unless it's himself or his buddies, of course. Anyone else who'll claim you're encouraging a bad person to be a bad person simply because you're friends with them. Since Ephraim is so up Lio's ass, you'd think he'd try to discourage you from condoning child porn being fucking drawn. And of course, the reality is we don't know if he has tried or not, but since you're still supporting it, and you haven't said that he's tried to discourage you, I can't help but feel like he probably hasn't tried.
Another thing to bring up, a few people have brought up that I said that minors shouldn't be looking at, quote, pro-ship content, yet I'm a minor myself. Blatant hypocrisy, right? Except that's not what I said. Notice how I never use the word minor in that context in the video. Don't let this content get into the hands of people who are too young to properly differentiate fiction from reality. Unless that content is being deliberately shown to children or posted on websites made for kids, it's not pro-shippers' fault if children find that content. Also, some of the content often discussed in these discussions is pornographic and probably shouldn't be in the hands of young children anyway, whether it features incest, abuse, and pedophilia or not. And yes, a few little kids with unrestricted access to the internet could gain access to this content no matter how well you hide it from them. But at that point, they're probably seeking it out, and that's not really the pro-shipper's fault. I picked my wording carefully because I didn't want people to think that I was saying that minors shouldn't be pro-shippers.
Oh my god. Mushroom, if you are a minor, you are a child. If you are a minor, you are too young for this shit. If you are a minor, you are a kid. Changing the word doesn't make it different. I know you think that you're wiser and more mature than most minors, but you are not. If you genuinely believe that, chances are you're less mature. That's coming from someone who felt the same way as a minor.
My switch in opinion can mostly be credited to listening to people who didn't really have an opinion at all on pro-shipping and just what they thought about fiction in general without this whole chronically online discourse bullshit in their way fogging up their view. I also realized that my view was a tad hypocritical. Like, why am I allowed to draw fictional cutesy self-harm, but somebody isn't allowed to draw fictional cutesy pedophilia? It doesn't make sense.
There is a massive fucking difference between self-harm and molesting children. I genuinely can't believe that I'm having to explain this. Drawing a character in a cute way, who also happens to have cuts or bruises, is nowhere near the same as drawing a child getting raped. Self-harm is often romanticized by active self-harmers themselves, so in a way it makes sense to draw a character who's happy or elated after having cut themselves. You might say the same thing about a pedophile, but here's the thing. Self-harm isn't fucking illegal. Self-harm isn't targeting a young innocent fucking child and ruining their life because you're too selfish to get help for your disgusting fucking sexual desires. Sorry, I know I'm getting wound up, I just can't stand this shit. Having been a self-harmer for around 8 years, I feel very strongly about this subject. I did a video about the romanticization of self-harm recently after experiencing a god-awful incident myself. I think you can draw self-harm in an almost cutesy manner, like with Menhera art, because the people who are self-harming aren't in the mindset to really see the damage they're causing themselves. But it can be very, very, very difficult to make it look cute while also making it obvious that you're discouraging it, which is the most important fucking part. But don't you fucking dare put self-harm on the same shelf as being a fucking pedophile. I don't want to hear that shit.
People have also been asking if I've been deleting comments on my pro-shipping video, as well as some of my recent animations, and yes, I have been. Call me egotistical or sensitive or blah blah blah, but I prefer having nice, constructive, and informed comments on my video.
Yeah, but when they're constructive and informed in a way that you don't agree with, that doesn't count, right?
Well, I'm glad to end this video on a silly note. This will be the last video on pro-shipping I'm making for a long time. That includes covering anyone's videos talking about my pro-shipping video. Sorry guys, no attention for you. Time to move on to other endeavors.
I love how she says this after she had a full segment on Graceful, doesn't crop my profile picture out of the comment, and then just after this goes on to give attention to the Anti-Mushroom Girl account.
And Anti-Mushroom Girl, if you're watching this far into the video, which honestly you're kind of obsessed with me, so I feel like you will, hi! I just want to give you some critique. I do feel like you should be focusing more on the quality of your hate comments rather than the quantity, because just spamming fuck you bitch on every single tweet I make is not really the best option, because it's not, like, I can just ignore it very easily.
See? Overall, this response wasn't what I was hoping for. I really was hoping she understood where we were all coming from, but she's entitled to have her own opinion at the end of the day, as are we. And we are allowed to take issue with her opinion being harmful to children. There's really nothing more that we can do, you know? This is now for the people in her life to help her with, you know, because we can't change her opinion, we can't force her to change her opinion. We also can't force the people in her life to help her either. So, she's right in a sense, we just gotta let it go now. We failed, lads, we didn't get the change we wanted. Anyway, that's me done. I want to go back to ranting about random art shit I see on Twitter now.